This week on Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Summer's here, and that means getting out into the wilds of Colorado.
More and more people are exploring our state's great outdoors, camping for the first time.
It breaks down a lot of social barriers that we kind of artificially construct.
For BIPOC and LGBTQ+ communities, gathering in nature is not only rejuvenating, it's validating.
They are getting a better sense of themselves out there. Our BIPOC students really report more physical confidence in the outdoors.
How the state's camping community is opening its arms to new and more diverse campers. Welcome to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
And I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Fernando Frescas. Each week, in a partnership between Denver7 and CPR, we have a real talk about issues impacting underrepresented people across Colorado and amplifying voices you may not always hear.
Today, we're focusing on the great outdoors. It's a big reason why many live in Colorado. And with the state's 8.3 million acres of public lands, it's easier than ever to get out of town and into the wild. But if you've never been camping before, there are plenty of unknowns. How do you secure a campsite? What should you bring? And what about timed entry reservations and park or camping fees? It can be a bit overwhelming, but that shouldn't stop you. Last year, across the country, nearly 6 million new campers ventured into the outdoors. And since 2021, more than 25 million people have gone camping for the first time. That's according to the 2025 camping report presented by the Dirt and Toyota trucks.
I had the chance to speak with the Dirt's CEO, Kevin Long. He shared with me the rise of RV rentals, ownership, and glamping are removing barriers that once kept some from experiencing the great outdoors, including the BIPOC community.
If you look at the 80 million Americans that camp, about 1/3 of them are members who identify from the BIPOC community. But if you look at this last year, more than 50% of first-time campers identified from the BIPOC community. So we're definitely seeing growth from this community coming in as first-time campers, trying out camping and getting into it. So we're really happy to see that.
Many first-time campers also identify as LGBTQ+, according to the Dirt. Of those 80 million that go camping, 12% are from the LGBTQ+ community. And of those 5.8 million first-time campers, a quarter identify as LGBTQ+. And it's not just the Dirt that's studying who gets outdoors to camp. Go RVing, which represents the RV industry, found similar trends. Diverse growth audiences now make up 30% of all RV owners, and those who identify as white have dropped 12% in the past 4 years. Go RVing says their outreach to groups like Black Folks Camp 2, Together Outdoors, Queerty, and Lavender Magazine have introduced the RV lifestyle to many more people.
Another way the group is introducing new and younger people to camping is through the inaugural Explore Camping program, which just gave $25,000 to Colorado-based Outward Bound.
That nonprofit serves 50,000 students per year and is the leading provider of outdoor education programs for youth and adults. It was founded in 1962 in Marble, Colorado. And joining us now is Amber Barnett with Colorado's Outward Bound School. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So you drove a little ways. Where are you actually based out of?
Our base is in Leadville, Colorado. We also have a base in Moab, Utah, but most of our programming happens out of our Leadville base.
And so you lead a number of expeditions into Colorado's high country. For kids of color or LGBTQ+ kids, how does Outward Bound make space for experiences for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really believe that there is space for every student that comes on our courses and has the ability to be included and feel like they belong on our courses. And we do that through the hiring of our staff, through our Fellowship Through Emerging Leaders program, so that our staff can really be more representative of the diverse nature of the students that are coming on our courses and really affirm their identities and really help them show what's possible. We also on our courses have extensive training for our staff in creating a supportive environment. What does a sense of belonging look like? What does inclusion look like? What does perspective taking look like through our curriculum design? And then obviously there are barriers to getting to the outdoors, and so we make sure that we've got gear for our students. And then partnerships like the Go RVing have really made way for to decrease the financial barriers that we have through scholarship dollars and partnering with organizations across Colorado to really make these opportunities more available. And our staff work really hard because we believe so much in a sense of belonging in the future generation that everybody belongs here, to make that happen.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned just the cost and how cost prohibitive this can be, because it's not as simple as just walking outside your front door and enjoying the outdoors and all that Colorado has to offer. There is a cost. I do want to ask Amber, why is camping so important for young people? Not just to go for a hike in the woods or a walk in the park, but why is it so important?
Yeah, it's, we know that, and I could rattle off so many numbers. We know that our youth are getting so much. They are getting a better sense of themselves out there. Our BIPOC students really report more physical confidence in the outdoors. Our other youth feel more assertiveness in the outdoors. Like, those are all really great reasons to get outdoors. But with our programs and with programs like ours across Colorado, it's also a time to turn off from technology and really disconnect from one world and connect to another world, which, is each other, it's themselves, it's nature, it's being better stewards of the land. And so being able to go camping outside and really kind of find yourself out there and find your confidence and find the space that you feel safe in is really important for our youth.
Yeah, I mean, when you set up a campsite, you're not going to be looking at your iPhone. You're going to be saying, I need to find wood for the fire. I need to figure out how to put this darn tent up. And then when you're going actually, climbing these mountains as a group, there's got to be so much that these kids discover in themselves.
Oh my gosh, it's so incredible. And it's incredible to read. I have the privilege of looking at all the data and the numbers, but also reading what our students say after course. And they're always like, I learned so much about myself when I peaked that mountain or when I ran that rapid. And we use the outdoors as really the classroom and the forum, but it's the personal growth that they get from that is so important to us. And then being able to transfer that home back to their communities, back to their families, back to their schools, and back to what's ever next for them is incredible. And I read things like, I got to disconnect from my phone and I really got in my own head and learned about myself. I mean, what an amazing opportunity.
Yeah. And finally, for parents or kids listening or watching who might be wary about camping or just unsure where to start, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah. I feel like just start small. Nothing has to be, this should be fun.
Like out in the backyard?
Yeah,
small type
totally
of thing?
small. Like,
Okay.
Borrow someone's tent, sleep in it, understand what your sleep system might be like. Are you comfortable? Are you not comfortable? We don't just send people out on 20-day programs with like, we
Go
start,
do, yeah.
Yeah, and off you go. It'd be a crazy course. But, we start really small with like, what clothes do you need? What do you need how do you cook out here? So start with those things, find your friends, find your resources. There are so many amazing organizations in Colorado that serve BIPOC youth, that serve LGBTQ, women's affinity groups, like all sorts of clubs and groups that can also help be a really great resource, and finding those resources and asking questions. But yeah, start in your backyard. And then, maybe find a state park that's close to you that, feels like a safer environment, and then go out into the backcountry.
All right, Amber Barnett with Colorado's Outward Bound School based in Leadville. Thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
Thank you.
Well, just ahead, it was called the Oasis of the West, a place for Black individuals and families to escape racial oppression. It was a sanctuary in the foothills west of Denver.
Today, it provides a space for kids from underrepresented communities to explore the great outdoors. Learn more about Lincoln Hills next. This is Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Fernando Frescas.
And I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
Colorado's great outdoors are one of the many reasons why people move to the state. Weekends spent camping by a river or deep in the high country is a big draw for millions.
And camping is becoming more and more diverse as BIPOC and LGBTQ communities find their way into the great outdoors. But it's also been a part of Colorado's Black community for decades.
Yeah, in the foothills west of Denver, Lincoln Hills was a beacon of hope and refuge for Black people during the era of Jim Crow segregation. It was a vibrant hub not only for relaxation and rejuvenation in the wilderness, but a place for cultural connection. Today, the legacy of Lincoln Hills lives on through the nonprofit Lincoln Hills Cares.
And joining us now is Jeanette R. Patterson, Executive Director of Lincoln Hills Cares, the nonprofit arm of Lincoln Hills, which is based in Denver. Jeanette, thanks so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
Thanks for having me.
The history of Lincoln Hills is so important to the Black community. I know this is hard to describe in a segment, but can you just tell us about the legacy of Lincoln Hills?
I think the legacy of Lincoln Hills is what it was before it's still meant to be, which was a sanctuary. It was a place for Black people to go during a traumatic time during that time period in the 1920s, where people were able to just be free and celebrate and be out in nature. And today, the legacy still exists. It exists through our programming. We teach kids how to hike, to fish, to ride horses, to garden, to play with bugs, to do all different types of things out of nature, which is what they were doing with Camp Neshoni and those other things that were happening during Lincoln Hills. So it's a legacy that will continue on generation after generation. The one thing about Lincoln Hills is it's still Black owned. It's still rooted in the community, and it's still Black led. And so it'll be a legacy forever.
Yeah, and getting everyone into the outdoors, and specifically camping, to be in that space outdoors. Why is that so important, and how is your organization kind of moving that whole thing forward?
Yeah, thank you for asking me that question. We don't actually do camping outdoors at Lincoln Hills,
right,
but what we do is we set up our youth to feel like they're in a place of belonging, but also what we do is we teach them the skills to be able to camp outdoors, and that is through our youth are able to learn how to fish, they learn how to shelter build, they learn how to fire build. We are engaging in leave no trace principles, where you learn how to camp outdoors, respect nature, respect others. And so that's what we do for camping per se. But what we really do is we get kids connected to the outdoors, where they're able to feel free, liberated, to have fun, and feel like they belong to outdoors, which is a part of their heritage. What will be interesting is when they do feel comfortable in the outdoors, it's going to be something different, especially for youth of color and for people of color, because they will feel like they're reconnecting to nature and being a part of nature, and because it's a part of their heritage.
I do want to talk a little bit more about the heritage of Lincoln Hills and tap into that. We've talked about the barriers to the outdoors, but when Lincoln Hills came about in the early 1900s, there were very real barriers. It was hard for Black people to even own land, better yet, set up an outdoor retreat or resort. And so I really feel like breaking down that barrier alone is reflective of what you're doing today, another invisible barrier to the outdoors. Can you speak about that?
Absolutely. So it was 3 entrepreneurs that were in Denver. And you know, when we talk about Lincoln Hills, we also talk about allyship. And so there was these 3 entrepreneurs that went up and purchased land because they knew that the community, the Black community in the 1920s, really wanted a place to go and wanted a place to be free and to, you know, have a recreational place to camp and hike and just have fun outside. And so once they purchased the land, it was out there. There were advertisements in the Black church and in the Black community. People started to buy and purchase lots up at Lincoln Hills. There were 1,700 lots that were plotted out, and 470 of them were paid in full, and then people just started to purchase. And I think that comes from having courage, that comes from having hope, that comes from taking risk, and that comes from having faith, and pretty much in love with the land, but love for each other as a community, feeling connected and feeling unified. And that's how they got beyond that barrier of being community, going up, setting up camp, building Winks Lodge, which has now been designated as a National Historic Landmark. I call it the crown jewel of Lincoln Hills. They created a resort. Mr. Winks Hamlet created that resort feel. He was the largest investor in the land. He not only built cabins, but he also purchased a lot of the structures up there. Camp Neshoni the young girls who belong to the Phyllis Wheatley YWCA. They were able to go up and camp because they weren't allowed to go to the white camps, so they created their own. And I think that comes from the creativity of Black people, the Black culture, Black excellence, and Black resilience.
When I hear that, I think, I want to camp. I know that you all are not quite doing overnight camping yet, but you are thinking about how to bring that into the mix and expand a little bit. Can you talk about those current efforts underway?
I think just making sure that when we talk about camping, we will set kids up for camping. For right now, we are kind of playing with some overnight stays at some quarters there at Lincoln Hills, but that's not fully formalized yet. That'll come down probably in about 3 to 5 years from now. But in terms of camping outside, we set kids up for camping. Not only camping just at Lincoln Hills or at other sites in the state, but in their backyards. Having conversations with parents on how to get out there just to get started. What tools do they need to camp? Where can they go? Not only just up in the mountains, but in the community, in the backyard, at the Cherry Creek State Reservoir, or different places throughout the city. And so when we talk about camping, we talk about setting them up with leave no trace principles, learning how to camp, what to take to camp, respecting wildlife, respecting each other, because that's most important. That's that unknown rule in the mountains. We respect each other. We don't leave trash or litter. That's the kinds of things that we teach at Lincoln Hills so our kids can be successful.
It's that first step.
It truly is. All right, Jeanette R. Patterson, Executive Director of Lincoln Hills Cares. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, we'll hear about a camping event described as a, quote, vibrant outdoor celebration of LGBTQIA+ pride.
This is Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Welcome back to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
And I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Fernando Frescas.
This week we're talking camping in Colorado. More and more first-timers are setting up tents and enjoying the state's great outdoors, and that includes a wider range of people.
There are many affinity groups in Colorado that can help those within diverse communities find like-minded campers, like Blackpackers.
And this year, a new camping experience is coming to Bailey, Colorado for the state's LGBTQ+ community.
It's called Firelight, and it hopes to connect, quote, every color of the rainbow to the great outdoors and to each other.
So joining us now is Nathan Turner, CEO of Rocky Mountain Diversity Events. Nathan, thanks so much for being here for this Real Talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is an inaugural celebration. What drew you to create this camping experience?
So I've actually had the good fortune of working behind the scenes for several events in similar states around us. I have helped Wyoming with some of their work for an event called Rendezvous. But something that kept on coming back is the people from Colorado were sad that we didn't have something similar to this in Colorado. And I'm like, well, I've gotten some experience doing this. Why don't we go ahead and see what we can do to bring it to the state of Colorado? We already have a very diverse and exciting population out here and very welcoming.
So describe what this event will be and where it will be.
So this is going to be taking place in Bailey, Colorado, on a private ranch that is up there. We have negotiated some time with the landowner to go ahead and just take over the whole entire ranch for the time being.
Nice.
It will be taking place up there between the 18th and the 22nd of September. What the event is going to be like is we are going to be doing camping, but we're trying to bring in elements of the Pride Festival that we have every year. So we are going to have live entertainers, drag entertainers are going to be taking stage. We're going to have people coming up to talk and educate regarding advanced life planning for people who are concerned that, you know, there may be problems with their marriage down the road in our current political climate. We are also going to be having people who are going to be doing workshops and educational classes for those who are looking to get into maybe the art of drag or learning some new skills as far as camping goes that they may not have.
Wow, very cool experience. And
Yeah.
more and more LGBTQIA+ people are choosing to head outdoors. Why do you think that is?
To be honest, it's something new and something different, and Colorado is a beautiful state for it. We have a wonderful outdoor scene, and it's very accessible, and there's a lot out there to be seen, whether you are going hiking, whether you're going rock climbing, if you want to go and just fish somewhere, it's all available. Camping makes it more accessible and creates a little bit longer lasting for that experience. One of the things that we are really kind of leaning into with this is that, you know, the bars and the social scene in Colorado is awesome. It's been acting as a community hub for years and years and years. But one of the things that, you know, people have been looking for is, well, what if I want to do something else? What if I don't want to go to a bar? Maybe, you know, there's something that you just can't do at a bar. Yeah. One of the things that many of our campers have tried to do over the years is like go ATVing or off-roading or something like that. Difficult to do that in, you know, a public or a city landscape. So, yeah.
And I think the fact that this is going to be fun as well. There's going to be partying. There's going to be connection. There's going to be, you know, sharing of this cultural experience that we in the LGBTQ plus community have. When you think about the camping community at large, are they welcoming? Are there any concerns? You know, if you're going out and you're part of the LGBTQ community, like going camping?
So that's one thing that I've actually really loved about these camping events is it breaks down a lot of social barriers that we kind of artificially construct. Like if somebody seems very unapproachable in the scene right now, they could be very approachable, or they could help you find something or help you with setting up your camp or something along those lines. You have people who go out of their way to be genuinely nice, and you never would have expected that in a more urban setting.
Yeah.
If you could tell someone in the community who really hasn't seen themselves camping, they just haven't thought about it because they feel like, I don't know if there are other people like me that would want to do this thing. But now, thanks to this interview, or you're putting out the marketing for this event, they're thinking about it. What would you say about camping maybe to push them in the direction of doing it?
So quite honestly, that's part of the reason why we're starting to develop this event is we're trying to make it more accessible. We're introducing elements that are more familiar and friendly. To anybody who might be nervous about a camping experience, or maybe you had a bad camping experience, maybe you don't like roughing it, anything more than a 5-star hotel is just too much. You might be surprised. There are a lot of creature comforts that are available to us now, more than ever before, that you could definitely get behind. Even at Firelight, like we're going to have a coffee bar up there. We're going to have a shop with just about everything that you would require to make your stay a little bit easier. But the real reason why I go camping with the LGBTQIA plus community is you develop friendships and you develop community so much stronger there than I've done pretty much anywhere else. It really does break down those barriers to entry for talking to people, getting to know your peers, and getting closer to people. Plus, you meet people who generally just don't go out for anything else.
Nathan Turner, CEO of Rocky Mountain Diversity Events, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And that is this week's episode of Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Every week, we have a Real Talk on issues that impact Coloradans who are often overlooked.
You can find all of our shows on denver7.com/realtalk or at cpr.org/realtalk. Have a great day.